Well, hi, everybody. This is DearMamaSal, and we are live on a Friday evening, which means today we'll be coping with life. For those of you who don't know about what we do, DearMamaSal is a wonderful group of people, and I'll explain a little bit more about that in a second. But basically what we do is we help you cope, you and the people you know, help you cope with life in one way and another, all with all its ups and downs and everything else. So we're like a giant extended family. And welcome to everybody. It's always a pleasure. Hi, Jeannie, and hi, Sandy, and hi, Jody. And for those of you who don't know, Jody is our admin, and she does a wonderful job of looking after me. And I made a promise at the lunchtime broadcast to show Jody the color of the top that I bought. And this is the color, Jody. I don't know, lilac, is it? I don't know how it translates, but it's not a color I would normally buy. But I thought it would go well with the black, and it'll also go over the blue that I've got. So I thought it would be functional. So it's just, a change for me. I don't normally do pastel colors, but life has changed. I also just wanted to say that we had a really great broadcast at lunchtime, and we were dealing with feelings. And as you know, I've been going through a lot of feelings in the last 4 weeks, between having my house catch on fire and do major damage, to being dragged by my car this week. I mean, it's been an absolute roller coaster. So what I was talking about at lunchtime today was all about those feelings and how I process them, in the hope that it would help some of you do the same in your own life. Yes, Frinsky's saying, I'm so glad you weren't hurt with the car. And the right-hand side of my right foot was grazed. I got road rash, but nothing too serious, nothing I can't cope with. And it's on the mend already, so that's wonderful. I found a great quote this week, and what it said, well, actually, first of all, let me just say that coping, for those of you who don't know, coping means to invest one's time to invest one's own conscious effort to solve personal and interpersonal problems in order to try to master, minimize, tolerate stress and conflict. And, if you've had stress or conflict, you will know we all have it. The question is, can you control it enough? Can you sort of keep it down to a pretty dull roar? And I'm certainly have been challenged over the last few weeks to make that happen. There's no doubt about that. So if you're watching this in the background, and I say that because we've got a certain number of people in the room chit-chatting, and we've got some of them who are watching in the shadows. Welcome to all of you shadow watchers. I love you to bits. I don't know if you know, but we've had people that literally watched for years in the shadows and then suddenly came out and talked to us, and we were so pleased. Hi, is it good to see you? And we were just so pleased that they came to chat to us. But feel free, we're a really nice group of people. We'll do everything we can to make you feel welcome. And the other thing is this, just be aware that if you do come in and chat, that what you chat about will be taken off the broadcast after it's finished, as long as I remember. And Jody keeps an eye out on that for me as well. It's one of the first things I try and do is I stop the broadcast and take down the chat. However, I will still have talked about whatever is on the chat. So if you come into the chat and you want to tell the people in the chat, but you don't want Sal talking about it, just start at the beginning. Sal, don't discuss. So I know that I can sort of obliquely talk about it, but I can't talk about it with your name attached to it or anything like that. Does that make sense, I hope? And please put it at the beginning, not the end, because I had it happen last week or the week before, where I was halfway down the thing that I was reading before I saw, please don't discuss this. And it was just like too late for me. I was already halfway through it, or nearly finished it, when I realized that's what it said. So it was right at the end, which doesn't work very well. But we all make those mistakes, right? And luckily it was with somebody who knew me very well and knew that I would never do that intentionally. Please remember to subscribe hit the subscribe button here and also click on the bell. The bell's going to ask you, do you want all the notifications? And I would like to suggest the answer is yes. And the reason for that is because then if we do a surprise broadcast or something like that, you're going to know about it. I'll talk about it later, but also follow us on Facebook and Twitter. And we use Facebook like our sort of notice board. You know, if anything happens, like this week, we were sending up thoughts and prayers for Lauren, who had the results of one CAT scan coming in, or ultrasound coming in, and then had a second one done. So whenever we want thoughts and prayers for somebody, that's where we put it. For example, tomorrow is Kerry's birthday, and I will be putting up a birthday card for her so that everybody can wish her a happy birthday. So we do that on Facebook. All right. The whole topic today is about living rather than existing. And how many of you know that there is a difference between the two? And I'd be interested to know what you think the difference is. What is the difference between living and just existing? Oscar Wilde said, "To live is the rarest thing in the world. Most people exist. That is all." And so what I thought I would do is get you some sort of definition around that, because easy to say, but really what is it all about? And I found a couple of nice quotes, or I found some definitions rather, that I thought that you might want to think about. It was said that when an individual merely exists, he or she is just surviving. They're lacking the beauty in the sense that controls our life. Existing simply means to survive without feeling the actual reality of the feelings and emotions. Living is when you do things intensely in life. So you're going to know a little bit more about this. I'm going to simplify it in a minute, but I just want you to understand what the official definition of it is. Robert Holden said the real gift of gratitude is that the more grateful you are, the more present you become. Think about that. The more grateful you are, the more present you become. And so I had a look at what is living. And living, oh, interesting. Jeannie is saying, existing means one can be an onlooker, not a doer. Yes, that's actually a very good definition of it. One can, one sort of looks from the outside in, but you're not living it. And this is the definition I found, and I thought it was fair enough. It said, living is taking life as it comes, embracing it, and doing as much as you can to feel fulfilled. Existing is a long survival. Living is choosing happiness and choosing to live. Existing is you being here physically, but doing what you have to do to get through the day. So if you are consciously saying, okay, today I'm going to do crafts for half an hour and do it, you're living. If you say, oh, I'd really like to do crafts, but I haven't got enough time and it's not fair, then you're existing. So simply put, if you are constantly learning, challenging yourself and doing what you want to do, you are living. And if you are always complaining and giving excuses why you haven't done what you want to do, you are existing. Does that make it simple for you? Jody's saying living is maximizing options, existing is maximizing excuses. Yeah. So this is awesome, and I really love it. By the way, please remind me if Nyasha comes in. I want to see if I can buddy her up with Kimmy, because they both have, what do they call? The walking machine thing. Oh, seriously, so what's it called? Not a stair climber, treadmills. Thank you very much, Jody. They both have treadmills, and I thought it would be a good idea if they just, had a buddy system, because I know Nyasha probably needs to be on hers a bit more. And Kimmy said that she would like that. So just so that you know, as I said, Kerry's birthday tomorrow. We know that Nada had a birthday sometime in October. We don't know which day it was because she didn't tell us and wouldn't tell us. We asked. So somewhere in the past month, Nada has had a birthday. And we know that for those of you who remember Nana, it's her birthday on the 2nd. And then Isabel has her birthday on the 6th. So those are the birthdays coming up. And how about this one? When I put this under be prepared and not scared, because I do believe that this is the crux to it. That when people want us to live their expectations, and we do, we exist. When we follow our own expectations, we live. Hi, Beth. Good to see you, honey. Big hug from me. So how many of you relate to that? It's when we follow what we want to do that we are living. And when we're following what other people want us to do, sorry for the wobbly bits here, I'm trying to move this a bit closer. When we're following what other people want us to do, that's existing. And so how many of you existed at work? You know, you didn't want to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning, but you did. Because you didn't like the consequences if you didn't go. You know, that's, for a lot of you, that's an easy way to describe existing. Maybe you went to a job that you didn't enjoy, but it paid the bills. That's existing. But if you did it so you could earn the money to do the trip of a lifetime that you've always wanted to do, then it becomes part of your living. In other words, it was the price you happily paid so you could make the money to go on the trip of a lifetime. Oh, yeah, Beth's raising her hand, yeah. So we're going to talk a lot around this today. So hopefully it will help a lot of you get very clear about what it's all about. Yes, that's right. And for some reason, I didn't have that in my birthday list. I'm sorry, Jeannie. It was her grandson Zephyr's birthday. He just turned 4. It's incredible. Jeannie's saying that she sent this card, and it was amazing watching him tell his mom, "This is a very important card. Look, it's got a big 4 on it." Isn't that cute? It's the same thing. If you remember when I sent Juliana a birthday card, it actually had one of those big fluffy pens in it. And I also sent money. And, you know, I watched her open the card because Judy videotaped it for me. And she, you know, it was the funniest thing because she opened the card, saw the money, took that out and put it on the side. I mean, it was just like, oh yeah, that's money. And then she went, "Look, Mum, it's a pen. Look, Mummy, it's a pen with," and then she got all excited about the pen. And so that always amazes me. I'm so glad that I chose to spend a bit extra money on the card to get the one with the pen in it, because apparently it was the right thing to do for her, which is what I thought. So let's have a look at this now then. Maya Angelou said, "You may not control all events that happen to you, but you can decide not to be reduced by them." How many of you can see that I've had a lot of very strange things happen to me in the last month, and yet I don't feel that I've been reduced by them? I've been challenged, for sure. I've been challenged more than I wanted to be, for sure. And I'm still facing challenges every day, but am I letting it reduce who I am? No. As far as possible, I am trying to keep very steady and normal and be who I am and not get all stressed out and upset about it. I'm going with the flow. I'm choosing to see it all as a big lesson, because that's what I believe life is. That is what I believe living is. It's all one big lesson. And you either learn how to live it or you end up in a lot of stress. And I'm choosing to just let the universe unfold as it should, because it's going to anyway. And I'm learning to bend with the wind and just take it all as it comes. Although I must say that getting dragged by a car wasn't high on my list of experiences that I would like to repeat. One of the things that, I was talking about those of you who go to work and existing like that, I found very interesting when I retired that I found out that that I'm a night owl. I did know that about myself. I'm a night owl. And the interesting thing about being in retirement is I get to choose what time I go to bed. And so that's a living thing, right? I choose what time I go to bed. And people will say to me, well, I can get you an appointment at 10:30 in the morning. I just say I don't do mornings. And they go, what? I said, I'm retired. I don't do mornings. Sorry. What do you mean you don't do mornings? I said, I don't go to bed until about 2 or 3, so I don't do mornings. I don't function until lunchtime. I don't wake up until 10, and I don't function until lunchtime. It has to be something really important for me to shift that time. How many of you are looking forward to that in your life? What did Beth say here? Beth says, I am now the top store in my district. Gee, I'm not surprised at all, Beth, you know that. Now the struggle is to stay in that position. That's where the fun starts. I love the challenge. Yes, we know you love the challenge. It only took me 9 weeks to get there. Yeah. And the unfortunate thing, Beth, I just want to address that with you for a second, because I think you and I have quite similar personalities in terms of that sort of stuff. And I remember when I went in to fix a problem in one company, and it took me about 3 months to put in place what I thought would fix it, and 6 months to prove that I'd fixed it. And when I realized, that I'd done that, I said, okay, could you give me another challenge now? And the president said, what? And I said, well, I've done that. So can you give me another one of your companies that needs fixing now? Because I'd like that challenge. No, we need you to stay here and keep doing what you've done. And I said, but that's not a challenge. This is just maintenance now. I've put in place all the things that will make you money, and keep it consistent. So Beth, I wonder whether the fun for you is fixing it. You're a fixer. Or is the fun for you just to be number one? If so, I've got a little discussion later on in this broadcast about those sort of things. Okay, so Beth is saying, yep, I'm working 63 hours a week, but I like it that way. 2x4, please. Yeah, well, you've already given yourself one. You know what I'm going to tell you. And I'm behind on my housework. All right, that's the least of my worries, is that you're behind on your housework. Because you're choosing to work, not to housework. That's your choice. Obviously, think about this, Beth. Obviously, being number one, having that title is more important to you than housework. So you've only got so many hours in the day. So if you're spending 60 hours of it at work, something has to give at home. So there's no 2x4 needed. You're smart enough to work that out. That's hardly what you call rocket science, right? You're spending more time at work. My bigger worry would be Charles, her husband, that you're obviously spending, well, I would imagine probably less time, but maybe not, because you had a second job. So maybe there is no change in the household. Interesting. So what do you think I should give you a 2x4 on? By the way, for those of you who don't know what a 2x4 is, it is when I think somebody is BSing themselves, I will ask permission to hit them with a 2x4, which means I would like to tell you what I hear or see as a truth. I don't necessarily mean that I'm right, but when I listen to you or when I talk to you, you're saying one thing, but what I see is some other behavior. Beth is saying, I still have to be the best. It just flipped to work instead of home. See, you don't need a 2x4. You've already processed it. And do you have to be the best, Beth, or are you naturally the best? You see, you work so hard to be the best, but let me tell you something that you may or may not have found. I found out that who I was better than most people anyway, even if I didn't work 18 hours a day. My vision and my ability to organize and get things done and get results, quite honestly, it wasn't necessary for me to do the work of two people. But I only found that out after I got sick, Beth. But, I'm hoping it doesn't happen to you. But, I've been warning you about that since day one. So, I think we have very similar personalities in that way. Forgive me. And that's why I love you to bits. Of course, mirror. How about this one? Listen to this one, Beth. Maybe it'll make sense to you. Doing whatever I can to achieve my dreams is living. Giving excuses as to why I didn't do it is called existing. So is doing what you're doing, Beth, giving you joy? Is it giving you lots of warm, fuzzy feelings? Are you getting up in the morning excited to go to work? You've held on to your correct weight. Well done. I'm so proud of you. So to me, it's about if what you're doing isn't hurting anybody, like Charles, because you're not around as much or whatever. If you're doing this and having fun and that you love managing people and bringing out the best in them, I think that's living for a lot of people. Right? But if you get up in the morning and think, oh my God, I got to work another 60-hour week, but you don't have to, you are choosing to. But you also are saying that's what it takes to have the number one store, is to work that hard. I understand that. My one thing I remember, Beth, and I'm going to repeat it to you, not because you need to change, but just because somebody told me this. When I was working 18-hour days, I remember somebody saying to me, Sal, when you have a mental breakdown or mental exhaustion, whatever it is that you're going to have, and you are taken off work permanently until you recover, they won't really care. They'll just replace you. And I said, what? And they said, think about that. You are working yourself to a standstill. And if you keep doing that, you're going to have a breakdown of some sort, either physical or mental. And at that point, you will be told you're not allowed to work for, some time. And when that happens, they actually will go, oh, okay, next, and employ somebody else who might or might not be as good as you, but it doesn't matter. You won't be there. So they'll just replace you. Yeah, Beth is saying, I want district manager next. You and I I've been telling you that since you first went to the store. No, the trick is, do you want to know the trick on how to do that the right way, Beth? All right, because what she's saying is that, her boss now has become her competition. But I have a really, what I did, Beth, was I made the boss look so good that he got promoted, and he naturally pulled me up into his position behind him. Why? Because he always knew I was the driving force to his success. Does that make any sense, Beth? Think about that. I just made all his numbers look good, so he got promoted. And then I knew that who's going to be his number one recommendation to take over from him? The person who did that for him. And, as you remember, he did say, sometime later after I'd left, he did say in front of a whole audience of people, my biggest fear every day was to get up and go to the washroom because I was so certain Sal was going to take my seat and I would never get it back again. I thought it was really big of him to say that. So I would say that, Beth, you are doing whatever you can to achieve your dreams and living. You are living a life you never dreamt that you could live. I think that's wonderful. Keep going, girl. Just be careful that you don't do too much. We were talking a little bit at lunchtime, and I want to talk about it a bit now, because we don't always have the same audience. It came up in a broadcast last week about the word deflection. And I just thought I'd let you know that we discussed the whole process of it. It's when you see it a lot in politics, when politicians are being interviewed, you will see them being asked a question, like, is the sky blue? Right? It's a pretty straightforward question. But they go, well, when you think about it, the reason corn is yellow is because the sun, in other words, they heard the question, but they deflected onto something they'd rather talk about. Does that make sense to everybody? Now, you've probably heard it time and time again, watching the politicians. And by the way, isn't it quite exciting to know that this time next week, we will know who won the election? Well, we're pretty sure we will by then. But, I think that's, history will be made yet again. And so what I wanted to let you know, though, is that I found a way to stop people who are deflecting when I ask them a question. And I thought I would share it with you. So if I ask somebody a direct question, this is in my private life more than with DearMamaSal. I do it occasionally with DearMamaSal people, but I normally do it privately rather than publicly. So I will ask somebody a direct question, like, what do you think about the weather? And they will deflect and start talking about something they'd rather talk about because they don't want to answer the question on the weather. No, the weather's not necessarily a good example. And then I will just say quack, 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 quack. And they'll go, quack? And I go, yeah. And they said, like a duck? Yeah. Why are you going quack, quack, quack? I said, because you ducked the question. What? Well, I asked you what you thought about the weather, and you gave me a totally different answer. So quack. Why did you duck the question? And a lot of people don't realize that they're doing it. It's a deflection. They're uncomfortable with the subject you asked them about, so they shift in their own mind. They just quietly shifted onto something else. And I wanted to make sure you all not only understand what it is, but also that you have a way of dealing with it. And, obviously people that know me very well, I don't have to explain why I quacked, because they know why I quacked. And they go, what did I not answer? And I go, 1 and 1 equals. And they go, oh, 2. I said, thank you. You're not quacking anymore. So it's a really important skill because it also tells people that you are listening to them. Right? Because so often we don't listen properly to people. And you like to be listened to. And so one of the things, with active listening is when you hear somebody talking about something, you do whatever you can to ask them a question about that you've just been listening to, because it tells them I was actively listening to what you were saying. All right, moving right along. And by the way, if you've got any examples of deflection from this week, let me know. Excuse me. Earl Nightingale said, learn to enjoy every minute of your life. Be happy now. Don't wait for something outside of yourself to make you happy in the future. Think how really precious is the time you have spent, whether it's at work or with your family. Every minute should be enjoyed and savored. But if you spend your day complaining because you've got too much to do and I don't have enough time to get everything done, then in a way, you're not living in the present. You're living in an expectation of yourself that is unrealistic. And I'm pretty sure a lot of you know what that feels like. I, for example, try not to give myself more than one major task a day. And that's just a case of, if I only did one thing tomorrow, my one thing is to go to my house and empty that shed. That's the one task I have for tomorrow. Anything else I do tomorrow will be cherry on top. My only goal is to go there and with some help, empty the shed so that the people who are buying it can dismantle it and take it away. So do you understand that? If I have 25 things on my to-do list, the chances are I'm not going to be a happy person. But if I come back tomorrow evening to my apartment here and say, okay, did I achieve what I set out to achieve today? Yeah, the one thing I set out to achieve was to get that shed cleared, and it is. You see, that makes me happy. And then Sunday, my major task is always to do the broadcast. So anything else I do on a Sunday becomes fun stuff. You know, if I make the time to do more than that, that's great. And by the way, have you noticed that when we challenge ourselves to live, we live a different life? And that is what I wanted you to do. Jeannie's saying that she also had a fire, her house completely burned down. Since the fire, I have had a schedule, whereas I do at least one thing a day. It helps us just keep going forward. Yes, so I've got a sort of major list that I have, and it starts off, let's say that the first thing on it is shed at the moment. And so I just say, what one step can I take? And then the next one can be, I've got these insurance lists that are beginning to come through. I've got to go through, they're beginning to tell me what has to be destroyed and what they're destroying. And I need to go and put bones around that. How long have I had it? What's the value of it? That's not fun stuff to do, but it will affect how much I get back at the end. So it's important stuff to do. And anybody who has done that knows it takes a lot of time and effort. So I need to knuckle down and do that a bit more this coming week. But guess what? My major task for next week is to move again, right? To go have a look at the new place on Monday. And if I like it, which I'm pretty sure I will, to move Tuesday, Wednesday. And then it's Thursday and time to get ready for the broadcast again. The weeks go by very quickly for me. So if you like, being grateful for everything is living. So I'm grateful that, I'm really grateful that I didn't, squash my feet under the car when it dragged me. I'm very grateful for that. I'm very grateful that I have a car that will take me to empty the shed tomorrow. I'm grateful for that. And so when I'm grateful for it, I'm living. But if I'm constantly, I don't have enough time, I don't know how I'm going to find the time to go and do this, and this, it means that I am complaining. And if I'm complaining, that quite honestly means I'm existing, because I have not planned it well enough to be able to do it properly or calmly. I'm expecting too much of myself. And so I really recommend that you just take every day and go, if I only did one thing today, what's the one thing that I want to take a major step forward on? It might not be that you finish it, but you'll still brush your teeth. You'll still brush your hair. You'll still take your medications. You will still eat. It's like, what is the one thing that's really important to you? And for some people, it will be to curl up in bed and not do anything. Well, then don't complain because you haven't achieved your goals. Because curling up in bed and not doing anything is not helping you. It is avoiding. Do you think I want to go clean out the shed? No. But it is what I want to do tomorrow, and I will do it with good humor. Why? Because it's going to make me money. And it's going to reduce some of my stress. So that works. We talk a lot about coping with new habits, and I've got a lot of new habits going on at the moment. So let's think about this. Embracing change is living. Trying to hold on to the past is existing. So how many of you know that if you take the pandemic and all that goes around it at the moment, If you can accept all the changes and just go, okay, wearing a mask is the new norm, probably going to be wearing a mask for the next year or so, and I can live with that. That's the price I pay to stay healthy if possible. Might not totally protect me, but it's a lot better than anything else. And that's why we were talking at lunchtime about, did you know that you can buy shields now, and why I like mine better than a mask. So, that sort of thing. So I'm looking at ways that I can do this better for me. And why do I like a shield better than a mask? I think it's pretty obvious. They say that my, big feature is my smile. So therefore, if I wear a shield, people can see me smile. And that gets me a lot of attention at the moment because everybody else is covering up their smile. All right. Duh. All right. So Kimmy's saying she can relate. I already wore a mask before the pandemic started because of my asthma. Yes. So, you were protecting your health before the pandemic started. And that's wonderful. You remember on a previous broadcast last week, I think it was Bernice that was talking about that she put her husband's CPAC machine into a drawer. Well, I left mine in the drawer and turned it on, and then realized I was choking in dust. Not a smart move. So now I've got to remember to take it out of the drawer at night to turn it on because, all the wood dust, and I'm allergic to sawdust. So it was just like, this was not a good idea. For me, may work for other people, but not for me. But then I realized afterwards, maybe the idea was just to put it in there during the day so it was tidy. She didn't necessarily mean leave it there when you turn it on. Duh. There are times when I wonder about myself, I must say. All right, so Jeannie's saying, you got a free gift at the grocery store. Yes, we got a free gift each from your Aetna health insurance. It included 4 great masks, eye drops, Band-Aids, and a thermometer. Isn't that wonderful? Yes, and for those of you who are wondering what Jeannie's talking about, I got this incredible array of stuff as a freebie because of the shopping I did this week in a new store. Then I go, that's not mine. And they go, yes, it is. And I go, no, I didn't get that. Yes, well, actually, you get it for free. I said, huck it in. If it's free, feel free to add it. I'm not stupid. Well, not totally. But what I find really amazing is that I can remember going to one store the day after the fire, when I had to buy clothes to wear because I didn't have anything except what I'd been wearing during the fire. And I obviously, when I was checking out, the cashier was saying, oh, you got 3 new outfits. And I said, yeah, but you don't want the reason why I've got 3 new outfits. And she sort of looked at me and said, why? And I said, because my house caught fire, that's when I don't have any clothes. But what I found so interesting is every time I go into that store, she remembers me. Right? And she said, you're the lady with the fire. And I said, yep, that's me. How about this one? For those of you coping with emotion, right, would you agree that being controlled by your emotions is not living? Controlling your emotions is living. And being controlled by your emotions is existing. Because it doesn't feel good, does it? And I must say that one of the greatest things for me was to be able to control my emotions, even when the car was dragging me down the street. It was just like, okay, and the important thing there, and one thing you need to concentrate is do not let your legs get near those wheels. That's all and do what you can not to hit the car behind. That's the only two things I was concentrating on. Survival. I think controlling your stress is living, and allowing others to give you stress is existing. All right, so Jeannie's saying being controlled is being on the hamster wheel. Absolutely. And, you know, we talked about Jodie's story at lunchtime, all right, with people judging her because she wanted to stay safe. And somebody trying to control her, and she didn't let it happen. She put down the boundary. And then they attacked her, quite normal. But, you know, Jodie's smart enough now, she knows enough. She knew why, you know, she held her ground and they couldn't push her anymore. And then they got angry, trying to push her back and do what they wanted her to do. And she stood firm, and that made them more angry. And eventually they just slung nasty words at her. So, you know, this happens when you control your own life. It's amazing how angry people get. Or I'll say to people, I've done it regularly, you trying to control me on that issue? No, of course not. I said, good. Then my answer is no. Well, you know, did I said, no, my answer is no. Why? I don't have to give you a reason. No. No is a complete sentence, people. Kimmy's saying, I found out that you can get a Walmart app in the search bar as a barcode scan. Yes. And you can scan items at Walmart and it will give you a discount. Isn't that wonderful? It'll give you a discount on most items, even items where the price has already been dropped. Yeah, that's a great idea. So if you shop at Walmart, get the app. Good idea. Thank you, Kimmy. We'll put that under coping with less money. Thank you for sharing. That's what I love about doing this. So living is being happy with yourself. All right, who you are, what you stand for, the fact you're not perfect, you know, all those things. If you are quite happy with who you are living. You're existing if you're linking your self-worth to your ego or a title. And so, Beth, if you're still with us, the one thing I would give you a 2x4 wrapped in velvet is be very careful that you don't link your self-worth to having the top store. All right? We know that's your goal. That's fine, but don't link your self-worth to it because that would not be fair. You are worth way more than just being the top store. And I know that you know what I'm saying here, so just take it easy. You know, if you want to be district manager, then you're doing all the right things, do it, but don't link your self-worth to it. I hope that makes sense. All right, so Kimmy's saying, I've been scanning stuff and I wished I would have known about it a long time ago. Don't live in the past. No, that's, you know, why do you do that to yourself, Kimmy? Thank you for letting us know about it because we all know, but don't waste your time wondering about, oh, if only I'd known this 5 years ago. It would be like my sitting here saying, gosh, you know, if I'd known that Apple was going to be worth this much money, you know, I would have bought it 30 years ago. Yeah, what good is that? I can only beat myself up for not seeing what was happening. All right. Or, gosh, I wish I'd known that the Beatles were going to be that big. You know, it's like, no, it's not a good way to live. And yes, and Jodie's saying, think of all the money that you'll save going forward. Right? Don't live in the past. Don't beat up on yourself. That's not fair on you. Now that you know, you can do something about it. That's awesome. Mahatma Gandhi said, I will not let anyone walk through my mind with their dirty feet. I love that. I will not let anyone walk through my mind with their dirty feet. I totally understand that everybody's entitled to their opinion of my clothes, of my hair, of who I am. I think everybody's entitled to their own opinion. That is why if I get nasty comments on my website, I normally thank the person for taking the time to let me know what they feel. I don't waste a lot of time fighting them about anything. It's like, thank you for letting me know your opinion. And I'm sorry that you feel that way, but thank you for taking the time to tell me. You see, it deflates a lot of people just do that sort of thing to get attention. So I can ignore them, but that doesn't make my day. One of my personal things is that I will answer as many comments as I possibly can. And so to say, well, I won't bother to answer the nasty ones is not who I am. So, sometimes I just say thank you. And the interesting thing is a couple of times I have done that. And the person who was so nasty to me wrote back to me and said, I can't believe how polite you were in return. You must be a really nice person. And I wrote back and said, and so must you, that you bothered to take the time to let me know that. You see, staying true to who I am, I'm not a perfect person, but staying true to who I am feels a lot better than letting some troll control my mood. And then here we go again. Living is not being controlled by the opinion of others. All right? So I'm not going to let them ruin my day. Why would I? It's just their opinion. Now, if they happen to be somebody I held in very high self-esteem and whose opinion I valued, that would be a whole different thing. But I don't know that person from a row of beans. So therefore, their opinion of me is just that. It's just their opinion. I don't have to change who I am to suit them. Because you see, existing is when you're constantly bending to the will of other people. You don't stand up for anything. You don't have a solid base. Makes sense? So when you live by your ideals, when you live, a lot of people, if you think about it, there are an awful lot of people who are people of faith, and they stand by their faith. And they get a lot of attacks because of that. And, one of the things that is really important is that it's their right to have faith, and it's their right to have the opinion that they have. It doesn't make them a bad person. It is just what they believe. And so I think it'll be very difficult this time next week to have any discussion about what happened at the election, right? Because basically, there are going to be people who are going to be really happy with what happened and some that aren't. And so could I get a commitment from us all that we will do everything we can after the election to be polite on both sides? And I say that because one side is going to win, which means that another is going to feel like they lost. And so all I care about is that whatever happens is good for America. And isn't it funny that we have all this attention on America? And you do know that, we had a little election here in my neck of the woods. But, people don't know about that. I don't take it too personally. It was just in my state. We call it a province, but in our state. Now, I do this every now and then. I don't do it very often, but I watched another movie that I really liked. And it's one of those sort of, I want to say a Hallmark type movie, but I really enjoyed it and it made me feel good. I think I talked the other week about the movie called Fisherman's Friends, how much I enjoyed that. And that one was done in the same village as they did Doc Martin. So if you're a Doc Martin fan, you recognize the pub, you recognize all the other buildings. And, I watched another one that I just thoroughly enjoyed. And that was called Holidate, not Holiday, Holidate. And it was just one of those nice romance type movies where at the end of it, I thought, I really enjoyed that. By the way, I've got first dibs on the actor in that, just so you all know. If you happen to see it and say, oh, I'd like his shoes under my bed, no, Sal's got first dibs. If you ever wondered what sort of guy do I get attracted to, yeah, he would be it. Yeah. Just what a delight. And so do you understand that if you make time to watch a movie, you're living. But if you spend all day watching movies, then you're probably avoiding something. Does that make sense, the difference between the two? I hope it does. Paul McGregor said something which I thought was really interesting on this. It said, if you are not happy or excited about your life, at least 80% of the time, you may want to change. Think about that. If you're not happy 80% of the day, then you are responsible for changing your life to make it happier. And I've had what happened? A major fire in my house. I've been just relocated. I'm about to make my fourth move in as many weeks. I've had to survive with things that I'm used to having, and I'm surviving without them. But do I look miserable? Do I look miserable? Do you think it's all an act that I'm pretending to be happy? So my question is, do I look like I am happy about 80% of the day? Obviously, I have down moments where I'm going, I just don't need anything more to sort out at the moment. But life's giving me more to sort out. So guess what? Need to deal with it. Need to make time for it. Need to give up time somewhere else. Luke Bracey is his name. Yes, Sandy, he's mine. I got first dibs, all right? Just within our group. I just loved him to bits. And every time he gave her a look, I thought he was looking at me. Yes, see, Jeannie's living. She's saying, we just bought a hot chocolate, a hot cocoa, because we missed it. Yeah, that's living, right? We like hot chocolate, so let's get some. Jodie's saying, I loved his voice too. Yes, I totally. There wasn't very much about him I didn't like. Linda said, I'm watching from Southern California. I'm enjoying the gentle wisdom and the peace you are sharing. Thank you so. Oh, Linda, don't make me cry. It makes such a mess of my eye. Thank you. I don't know if you know this, Linda, but I have always said that if in any broadcast I have a comment like that, then it's worth doing another one. So you just made my day. Thank you so much. And Hildy, I think it's Hildy, says, good to see you. I hope you are safe and well. I'm here, and I hope I look well, and I have a roof over my head. I'm pretty safe. Oh, yeah, Ginny, look this guy up. But he's mine first, right? I got first dibs. Jan, there she is. Jan definitely had the quote of the week this week. Jan, on hearing that not only had I had the fire, but then got dragged by the car, said, Sal, you are grounded. Jan is saying, and thank you, Jan. I burst out laughing with that. Jan saying, I'm a natural-born American. My mother was born and raised in Canada. She became an American citizen. I'm thinking if she were alive today, she'd be pleading to come back to Canada. Yes, we are strange people. Who likes Sam Elliott? You see, there's another one. I've always loved him and his voice. Yeah, he's got an attitude I really like. And, I get a feeling, Kimmy, that he doesn't act, but I could be wrong. I think he is who he is. He's a bit like, James Garner. I had the privilege of meeting James Garner, and what I found amazing was he was exactly who you saw in the movies. He didn't act that. He was that nice person. He was polite and he was kind and considerate and compassionate and just a nice human being. So, that is, I must admit, I just went, wow. And, I was young then. I was in my 20s when I met him. And he said, what do you mean, wow? And I said, I can't believe I'm sitting here cross-legged on an oil barrel. We were both sitting in the pits of the Grand National, the Grand Prix, sorry, not the Grand National, the Grand Prix. And, and I'm sitting on this oil barrel and he's sitting on one the other side. And I said, I can't believe I'm sitting here talking to you. And you are exactly as I always thought you would be. But prayed you would be and prayed you wouldn't be different. But I never dreamt I'd get the opportunity to find out. And he said, I've got a feeling that's because you're that sort of person as well, that what people see is who you are. And I said, there are two sides to me. He said there are two sides to everybody. So, yeah, don't worry about that. And so, it's just like, if you're not excited with your life 80% of the time, then you might want to change it. That's the message. How about this one? Living in the moment means letting go of the past and not waiting for the future. All right, for me to be happy at the moment, even though I've had all this going on in my life, I need to let go of what I could be doing in my house if it hadn't burned. I need to not worry about what next week is going to look like too much until it gets here. And I just need to deal with it. Let me continue the quote. Living in the moment means letting go of the past and not waiting for the future. It means living your life consciously aware that each moment you breathe is a gift. Oprah said that. Live your life giving thanks for each moment. You live, you breathe. So every morning I wake up, I'm happy. Okay. And I start again. Each morning, sometimes I wake up and what was my plan for today? Well, something else has happened that makes that plan for the day totally useless. So I got to replan it. Okay. Jody, always the comedian, says, just think, after that Grand Prix, James Garner must have said to his friends, I met Sal. I just wanted to box him up and take him home with me. You do know that. Because he really was cute. So how about this business about, some of you might relate to this one. This is about seeking the approval of others is existing. But I wonder about that. I'm thinking about what hobbies did you not do sometime in your life because other people didn't like them? Maybe you said, I think I'd like to go skydiving. And somebody said, oh, no, that's not, that's dangerous. You don't want to be doing that. Hi, Karen. Good to see you there. Today is All Hallows Day. That means you are farther ahead than we are. So you are living where? What country are you in? Is it All Hallows night tonight? Or the reason that is amazing to me, and it touches my soul, Karen, and I'm pretty sure you didn't know that you were going to touch my soul. I used to live in a town called All Hallows, or right next to it. So that's sort of when I read All Hallows, my little being just went, oh. And is All Hallows the night before Halloween? Or are you already in the 31st? Let's see what Karen, but thank you for the comment, because that was awesome for me to remember. I even remember my telephone number was All Hallows, dum, dum, dum. The telephone number we had was an All Hallows one. Yes, that's what I thought. So we're not in Halloween already. We're still on the 30th here. And so I'm in the west coast of Canada. So we haven't made it through to the 31st yet, but happy Halloween. So do anybody ever have a hobby that they wanted to pursue, but other people talk them out of it? Do any of you have that? I'm quite surprised how many people didn't think I should be doing woodworking. And I went, why? Well, that's a man thing. I said, why? Why is it a man thing? Yeah. I don't see that. I wanted to do woodworking, so I learned how to do it. And I've got, in that big shed, I've got all the equipment, which I may never use again, but I've got it. So if we are seeking the approval of others, if we're doing things to please others, not ourselves, then we are existing. So if you think about that, there's a difference though. For example, when those of you who know Yvonne, my friend Yvonne, when Yvonne lived in the same house as me, thank you, Jody. When Yvonne lived in the same house as me, I quite often would do something about which I was excited, and I'd call her up and I go, hey, I need an ooh and ah moment. That meant that I'd done something I was happy about and I wanted her to come and see it. It wasn't that I was seeking her approval. It was just I needed somebody to be excited about it too. And sometimes she wouldn't be nearly as excited, but she was honest enough to let me know that. Right, Nyasha, I'm glad you're in. I have a request for you. And let me just first of all read what you've said. Nyasha saying, hi, everybody. Sorry for not joining in earlier, but my health is attacking me at the moment, so I won't be staying. However, happy Halloween to those who celebrate it. Take care and all the best. I'm sorry. Well, we're always pleased to see you, Nyasha. And Nyasha, I just wondered whether you would consider supporting Kimmy. And the reason is that she has a treadmill and she wants to start using it some more in the winter. And I know that you've got a treadmill, and I thought the two of you might like to buddy up. So you don't have to answer now, and it doesn't matter if you don't want to. But just if you would like to, write to me and let me know, and I will match you up with Kimmy if you don't already have that contact. So, yeah. Jeannie's saying one of my cousins was the first woman plumber in Maine. Her dad was a plumber. Yes, so she learned to enjoy it. And, that's the whole thing. I was one of those, I liked racing cars and, it was, I always had hobbies that it wasn't that I couldn't knit or do crocheting, but it didn't excite me the way that racing cars did, or, you know what I mean? It was just like, oh yeah. But I never wanted to jump out of airplanes, no. Or bungee jump, that didn't appeal to me at all. You've got an elliptical, not a treadmill. But, the main thing is that you can do steps on your elliptical. So only if you would like to, because I thought you could support each other during the next few months, Nyasha. So, and Kimmy, if you're still here, let me know if you already have Nyasha's contact. If you do, then you two can contact each other anyway. But if you don't, write to me and I will make sure. If you both write to me, I will know you both do want to do it, in which case I will. You do already have her information? Ah, that's awesome. Okay, so there you go. One's on an elliptical, one's on a treadmill. And that would be wonderful, Nyasha. And the thing is this, don't make it a huge competition. Make sure that you support Kimmy in doing her treadmill, and she in turn will support you in doing your elliptical. How's that? And hopefully you will both get a lot of joy out of having somebody else, all right? It's like anything else. Just do it because you want to be in competition with yourself. Don't do it because you want to beat anybody. Do it because you need somebody to support you in what you want to do. There's a difference, a huge difference. How about this one? What job did you not apply for because somebody talked you out of it? All right. Did any of you have that where you really thought there was a job that you would like to do, but somebody said, oh, no, you don't want to do that? I know Beth can relate to that. Beth, when she took on the job originally where she worked, she had a member of family who said, who would want to work there? Ugh. But, Beth's done so well there and on her way to doing even better. I'm certain Beth doesn't regret it. She just stuck to her guns. All right, so Nyasha's saying that she couldn't have done it before, but she can now. So you understand, it's just the universe is unfolding as it should. Right, and Jeannie is saying, I talked myself into 2 different jobs. Yeah, I want to tell you something, Jeannie, you and I both. I quite often applied for jobs that I didn't have anywhere near the qualifications for. But I managed to talk my way in. And guess what? If I always worked on the principle, if I was clever enough to talk my way in, I probably was clever enough to do the job. And prove myself to be right on that. Yeah, and Jeannie's saying, one said I was overqualified and the other created a job specially for you. Yeah. Absolutely, Jeannie. That's why if ever there's a job that you think, oh, I'd like to do that, go and get interviewed. You'll be amazed how many times you might get it. And if you don't, you haven't lost anything. At least you tried. How about this one? Did any of you ever have a vacation spot you always wanted to go to, but you've never been there because every time you wanted to go there, somebody talked you into another one? Yeah. I was amazed how many places I had on my bucket list, that I had always wanted to go to, but never did. Yeah. Yes, Hawaii was one of them. And then I, very kindly got taken there, about a year or 2 ago. And, it was wonderful to go because it was much better than I expected. Yes, Jeannie's saying I had minimum of shorthand. That opened many doors. Yes, I want to tell you something, that I lived in a generation where I learned shorthand as well. I think there was a generation of us that did that. And I have never regretted learning that. It has saved me so many times that I can actually take down almost verbatim anything anybody says if I want to. It's more difficult to read it, but I know it enough to know that I can sort of make it understandable. And I can normally fudge my way through it if I've had to make up a couple of things. So, all right, Nyasha, thank you so much. How about this one? Knowing who you really are living, how many of you know that you have contribution as part of your DNA, that you actually do love being a volunteer in some ways? And I'm wondering what volunteer job you've always wanted, but for some reason you've stopped yourself. Anybody, had that in their mind? I really would like to do. There is one that I still think I will I will apply for, because I always thought I would like to be somebody who helps on a crisis helpline. I probably would need to be retrained to do it, but that's okay. I just think I have so much experience of those sort of things, both with my own life and with helping other people, that I think I could be an asset to any crisis line. However, whether they think that is the thing to find out, and I guess that will be the next step, to actually volunteer or go to be interviewed and see if they consider my skill set suitable for what they need. And, not to be worried if they say no. My skill set may be not what they need. They might need somebody with totally different base skills I have. And so, but how many of you can understand that that's something, I've always had in the back of my mind that I would like to be able to do. And even if I only did it for a while, I think if I could help somebody save a life again, and I've saved a few in my time, but if I, could do something like that, maybe one day a week, would give me a great feeling of accomplishment, I think. And so what is it that you would like to volunteer for that you never have because of whatever reason? I'd be interested to know that. Anybody? And by the way, if you're watching this on the replay, feel free to still leave the comments because, I will still read them and we can still talk about them. I think that doing something greater than yourself is always a great thing to do. Jody's saying, I love to give back by volunteering. Over the years, I've donated baked goods to our senior centers and other various places. Yeah, and it's interesting, Jody, because you are somebody who really doesn't have the strength or the stamina or all sorts of things because of your health issues. But you never let that stop you. And I find that amazing in you. Yes, Jeannie, same thing, right? I would enjoy feeding more people because I love to cook for others. Yes, and it's interesting, Jeannie, that this is a great time for you to do that. And I'm pretty certain that there is a soup kitchen or something close to you that would love your skills, especially in the wintertime. And Kimmy's saying, I wanted to help at the polls, and they have asked me to call people to ask them questions. I declined because of my health. So what is it that you wanted to do that you thought you were healthy enough to do? And do you not think that making telephone calls is something within your ability? Jody said, I have wanted to offer makeovers to cancer patients to build self-esteem after a treatment. What a wonderful thing for you to do, Jody. What a wonderful thing for you to do. You have all those skills and it would get you out of the house. Would you be able to get to the hospital fairly easily? Or, that would be a transport challenge for you. And I know that transport is a challenge for you. Linda is saying, after retiring, I volunteered to cook breakfast for homeless people and families in need at the community center. I did it for a year. It was rewarding. Yes. So do you miss it at all, Linda? Do you miss the joy that you felt for doing it? And, because I'm thinking, Linda, that you and I probably agree that there are going to be an awful lot of homeless people soon. There are already a lot more than normal, but there are going to be an awful lot of homeless people soon, and it's winter. And I would think volunteering to help some soup kitchen somewhere would be something that you would probably get a great deal of satisfaction for. Yeah, Kim is saying having asthma attacks and being up all night and not getting sleep, not feeling good and tired. But then why volunteer? If you are really not capable of doing anything, then why did you volunteer? Because it's like they gave you the opportunity and then you declined it. So that confuses me. Did you really think that you didn't volunteer? Oh, I misunderstood you, Kimmy. I'm sorry. I thought you said that you offered to help them at the polls. My bad. Sorry, honey. All right. Hi, Kiko. Right. For those of you who don't know, this is Adam. Hi, Adam. I will never forget you. And I have Adam and the Nutcracker in one sentence in my mind. So a big hug to you. For those of you who don't know, Adam was in a group of people that was there right at the very beginning. So that is wonderful. Hugs to you too, and thank you so much for popping in. Tears in my eyes, what can I say? How's you doing the Nutcracker this year? Oh, don't be sorry. I'm just so glad to see you, honey. Are you doing the Nutcracker again this year? Or has it been cancelled because of COVID? And for those of you who don't know, Adam actually is does ballet. And, every year he did the Nutcracker. So the show will go on. Oh, I am so happy for you, Adam. I am so happy for you, honey. Linda's saying, I don't miss it because I needed to work on myself. Good reason. I've given to others most of my life. I'm at 66. I'd like to apply some of the self-care and self-love. You're in the right place, Linda. That's what we work on. And I think that's wonderful that you've decided to look, welcome to our world. And that is not a wrong thing to do. I applaud you for making that decision. I really do. I know what a difference it makes. And, I am 73 now, and my life is totally different because I decided some time ago I'm going to start looking after my needs, not everybody else's, except for DearMamaSal. But, I get great joy out of doing DearMamaSal, as you probably know. So it's a win-win. I wondered whether I'm the only one that does this, and this is about the way I live my life. I wonder if any of you relate to this. I had reason to borrow a couple of things from my my neighbor at my house because of the fire. And I returned some things recently, and I doubled up on what I'd borrowed. So, for example, I needed to borrow one toilet roll, and so I took back two. And then she also gave me big band-aids to where I grazed, where I had the road rash on my foot when I was dragged by the car. So I took back four. Now, she looked at me and said, first of all, you don't have to do that. And then secondly, she said, why are you giving me back more than you borrowed or than I gave you? And I said, it's who I am. And she said, you don't have to do that. I said, well, would you like me to change? She said, what? I said, well, if I change that part of me, then maybe I'd change other parts of me as well. So would you like me to change? Is that what you're telling me? And she burst out laughing and said, no, Sal, don't change. just keep being who you are. I said, thank you. And just take what I brought and be grateful. So what happened? I came home with enough dinner to last me for 4 meals. She made sure I took takeout home with me. Well, it wasn't takeout. She made this beautiful dinner. Yeah, Jeannie's saying bravo to Adam for being an artist and giving pleasure to others. I want to tell you that Adam is just a delight. And there's a reason why I remember him all these years later. All right, so Adam's saying, so have a great night. Headed to bed early. I'm going to work for a few tomorrow morning. Good night. Well, Adam, big hugs to you. And I will ask Jody to remind me to put up, I will make sure we make a note on the Facebook page that you popped in. It's been 7 or 8 years, I think. Adam, you were there in the days of Blog TV, I think. Or very close to those days. Were you on Blog TV with us when we started? Yep, that's what I thought. So, and that would have been, I think, 8 years ago now. 2012, we started. Well, it will be 8 years. Oh, no, it already is, I think. We started August 2012. And Blog TV stopped in March of 2013. I remember the day very well. All right, Ginny's saying that she has to say goodnight as well. You have a schedule for tomorrow. All right, and an early start. Well, thank you both for taking the time to be with us. We really appreciate it. Yeah, write to me, Adam. I would love to. I'll make sure that people who know that you popped in. Thank you so much. I'm sure they'll want to give you hugs. Thank you so much. All right. So carrying on, how many of you can see that your life actually is a masterclass of everything? You see, I live life as it is given to me rather than as I think it should be. I see everything that happens to me as another learning moment. And I thought this was a really nice quote. And it said, there will be good days and bad days, and good days and days that will teach you how to deal with difficulties, because they will come. Life is, after all, one big learning curve. Treat it like that and you'll never be disappointed. I'm going to read that again. There will be bad days, good days, and days that will teach you how to deal with difficulties, because they will come. Life is, after all, one big learning curve. Treat it like that, and you will never be disappointed. So I've learned a lot of lessons this month. I've learned that I can be more flexible than I thought. I've learned that I can adapt better than I thought. And I've learned that life just continues on its way. And I can cope so far. And, so to me, the way that I stay grounded is not to see it as bad luck or good luck. It just is life. Mind you, I do see it as good luck when I survive a fire. And then I do see it as good luck that I managed to keep my legs away from the wheels of the car when I was being dragged. It was just like, yeah, I'm very grateful for that good luck. And how about this one? Can you see that taking action to make yourself happy, healthy, or whatever is living, and taking no action is existing? For example, wait a minute, let me read what Linda says here. Do you have a morning routine that you continue since the fire? Yep. I get out of bed at the same time as I did before the fire. I have a little list, Linda. It's actually on my computer because I check it. Do you want to know what my checklist is for the mornings? I'm happy to share it. Because I find sitting at the computer wastes a lot of time. Hold on a second, honey. I've got to stand up to read it. Oh, wait a minute. I've got to change the light here. Hold on a second. Okay. I ask myself daily, have I checked my blood sugar? That's the first thing. Taken my meds. Had a bath or shower, whatever. Made the bed. Tidied up the kitchen. Cleaned around, generally tidied up. Have I been outside? I got to stand up to read them. No, those are the main ones. Oh, have I done my accounts? Is also on there. In other words, I try and check that daily. Is there something on my accounting side I haven't done? So I look at that every time I sit down on the computer. It's stuck onto my computer because that's where I waste the most time. Make sense? And so what I do is every time I sit down, I read the list and go, okay, when I finish doing what I'm doing, I need to get up and do the next thing. It's the way that I get myself away from the computer. By the way, if you saw my kitchen right now, I failed the kitchen test this morning. But, I find that helps me, Linda, to keep on track. It's sort of like, okay. And the other thing is, I know this sounds strange, but I go to the washroom fairly regularly at my age, and I have certain things that I do each time I go to the washroom, other than use the washroom. But, I know that when I've been to the washroom, I come past the kitchen and tidy something up on my way back to the kitchen, or, that sort of thing. And today, I was saying about this action versus inaction. Today is always a busy day for me on a Friday because I do 2 broadcasts. That's 4 hours on the air and all the work that it takes to put, 2 broadcasts together. As you can probably imagine, it takes a bit of time to get all this stuff and the quotes and everything else all coordinated. So I had the perfect excuse to curl up and get some sleep this afternoon, especially knowing I was going to have a very busy afternoon tomorrow. But what I actually did was I said one of my major goals for today was to get out and get some fresh air and get some steps in, because I've been a bit behind on getting steps in this week. And so I did that. I made the time to go out and walk. And I felt so much better for doing it. So if you like, going out and getting fresh air as living, because I'm controlling my health and my environment, and then staying in and feeling depressed would be existing. Does that help everybody? And what about going out and getting fresh air, would be living, and not doing so because it's raining? Using an excuse would be existing. But if I didn't go out, but I went out onto my patio, which is covered, and just walked, just stepped like this for 10 minutes, that would be living. In other words, get creative. Or as I do here, which is, to go down and out and then come back and walk up the stairs. There are lots of ways to get exercise without leaving the building if I want to. But getting fresh air, I can also do just by going out onto I've got a little patio here. I can go out there and, even if it's cold, I can wrap up warmly and go and stand there and, watch the birdies or do whatever. It's all possible if you want to, right? It's how you do it that's important. So my next one is, if you are trusting the universe to unfold as it should, you are living. If you trust the universe knows what it's up to. If you're trying to force it, you're trying to force things to happen, you're existing. Now, I say that because, when I let go with the fight about, well, was it fair that they were asking me to get rid of the shed and da-da-da-da, and then I made the decision I'm going to let go of the shed. Why? I'll have less stress if I let it go. I just need to find somewhere for it to go and I'll be fine. And literally the next day I had a buyer, and it was my neighbor from across the street, the one that gave me the blankie at the fire. And they, offered me money, and I just said, just give me an offer I can't refuse. I'll be happy. And I accepted the first offer they gave me. I could have haggled, but I was happy that I got anything for it, quite honestly. And, it's so, to me, it's like, and they're coming to help me empty it. Win-win. They get the shed they want, and I get it gone. So you see, I just Didn't have to rush it. I just needed to do it in the right order. Dennis Waitley said this, and I love this quote. He said, "Losers live in the past. Winners learn from the past and enjoy working in the present towards the future." I'm going to go one more time on that one because I want you to listen very carefully. Losers live in the past. Always what should have happened and what wasn't fair and da-da-da-da, right? Winners learn from the past. In other words, I learned this week, double check that my car is in park. Anyway, winners learn from the past and enjoy working in the present towards the future. You see, this whole issue about the shed was I realized that I had signed a document to say I would only have one shed. I didn't know that until I read that document again. And so to me, it was just like, okay, I signed that document. I'm going to let that go. And I'm going to be grateful for the fact they're not asking me to remove my big shed. I'm going to be very grateful for that. I'm going to let go of the small one. They did say, you just need to get rid of one of them. I'm going, okay, I can do that. Jen saying, have a wonderful night, everybody. Happy Halloween and take good care. I've had a hard week of virtual learning with my granddaughter. I've endless respect for our teachers. Yeah. Jan, I cannot thank you enough for being part of our group because really you make me smile so much, honey. And I love your sense of humor. I really do. and yes, I understand you want me grounded, but life, I do need to go out occasionally. I will be careful. And I will continue to be lucky. So do you agree that this whole thing about my going out and walking was living because I got exercise and fresh air? It's a multitasking thing. But giving an excuse as to why I couldn't do it because I was too busy. Oh, by the way, I also wrote the broadcast for this evening. It's just like, if you want to do it, you will. Now, the reason I want to talk about that was because when I came back inside, I was going towards, I decided that because I'd walked as far as I did, I walked half a mile, that I wouldn't bother to go up the stairs. I would actually take the elevator back up. But there was a guy in front of me and he was not wearing a mask. And he got into the elevator and he was holding the door for me. And I smiled and said, thank you, that's so kind, but I'll take the next one up because you're not wearing a mask. How many of you know that is my choice? The fact he was holding the door for me did not mean that I had to get into the elevator. And I had to make that split-second decision. Would I feel more safe going in the elevator with my shield on, even though he didn't have a mask, or would I feel safer waiting for the elevator to go up and come back down again and travel it on my own? And I decided I would feel safer on my own. So I gave him a big smile and said, hey, thanks very much. I'll take the next one if you don't mind, because you're not wearing a mask. And he didn't take it personally. He said, no problem. And off he went. So you understand, it wasn't that he forced me to do anything. It was like, that was my choice. And I felt good about that choice, quite honestly. I wasn't forced to do anything. I chose to do something, to look after myself. And I chose to make the time to make a healthy meal. Because I did have time. I just needed to use the time I had between the two broadcasts in as best way I could. So I had a full meal, a 2-course meal. And, it was balanced and it was pretty healthy. And I didn't have dessert. Of course, I'm going to have that after the broadcast. And so you understand, this is all part of living as opposed to existing. And yes, I'm allowed to have dessert as long as I drink lots of water. And so I look at all these things and go, it's all about what do I choose to do when I'm making the choices, when I'm not blaming somebody else for making me do things, I am choosing to accept accountability, then my life is happy. The Dalai Lama said there are 2 days in the year that nothing can be done. One is called yesterday, and the other is called tomorrow. So today is the right day to love, believe, do, and mostly live. Isn't that beautiful? And then Jody added this one, which was living is saying, what can I do? And existing is saying, I can't do that. All right, so even if you don't have enough time to do it all, think about what can you do? Because if you take one little step, it will feel like living because you'll be one step closer to where you want to be. It's a very important difference. What can I do? And then she also added this one, living is saying, I'm differently abled, not disabled. Existing is not even trying because it takes more work and a different approach or a longer time frame. One of the things that Jody has become an expert in is doing things more slowly because she has to. She has severe problems with arthritis and stuff, and she also, as you know, has mobility problems. So between the two of them, cooking is not easy for her, but she loves to cook. But what Jody has learned to do is every day she does a little bit towards the next thing. And so, for example, she wanted to make lumpia. She's watched Judy make lumpia a lot, right? And she was asking me, is it possible to make lumpia today, but not actually cook it until tomorrow? And I said, absolutely. But her concern was, with the wrapper, because you roll it in that rice wrapper, would the wrapper get soggy? And I said, well, why don't you just make them, put them flat, freeze them flat, and then once they're frozen, just put them in a bag. And then as you want them, you just take out as many as you want and let them thaw and then deep fry them. So, it was possible to do this. You could even chop up all the meat and cook the rice, everything one day, assemble it another day, and then cook it a third. So you understand that's how Jody has learned to do things now. And she's already got half her Christmas baking doughs all made and in the freezer ready for Christmas. Pretty amazing. Yes, and Kimmy has rheumatoid arthritis. Jody and I both have psoriatic arthritis. So, I totally relate to that. I'm having more and more problems opening bottles and things. And it's very painful. And I've got one little finger, this little finger. Yeah, I want to tell you that joint there, that is so painful. All right, and Jody is saying, in terms of the lumpia, she said lumpia went from being impossible to possible in 5 seconds with Sal's input. So, it's like, yeah, you can do this. You don't have to do it all in one day. And that's what most people overwhelm themselves with. And they don't necessarily have to have health issues, but they overwhelm themselves rather than keep taking one more step towards their goal. So here we are. And I thought maybe it might be time for us to do the countdown because we haven't done that for a long time. And I'm thinking we're getting pretty close to Christmas, so probably it is time. Oh, Jody's saying that her pinky finger was immobile today. Yeah, I'm beginning to think that I might need to get one of those splints for it because it really is very painful. All right, let's see how we go. We got 5 months until Easter, apparently. And only 3 months. Can you believe this? Only 3 months and 19 days until Lent. Wasn't that just last week? Valentine's Day is only 3 months away. Christmas is only 55 days away now. We need to get our overseas Christmas cards in the mail in a month. Seriously, it's that close. US Thanksgiving is just 26 days away. It's a bit later than normal, I think, this year. We know that we have daylight savings coming up this weekend. So that's happening on Sunday. And we've had our Thanksgiving in Canada, so we'll leave that away. What should we look at next? The longest day of the year is only 4 months away now. No, that can't be right. We're 4 months away from the longest day of the year. Sorry, that's my bad. Summer is only 132 days away. And so just for those of you who've been on my journey with my house, I've now owned the house for 8 months and 22 days. And I moved 9 months ago and 23 days. And boy, have I lived life in between. Interesting, Kimmy's saying that she has rheumatoid arthritis, and Jody said that she sees a rheumatologist. Now, I don't see one, but any minute now I'm going to probably need to do that, Jody. And Kimmy's saying she doesn't have a rheumatologist in her town, in her hospital. Yeah, only 132 days until summer. How many days until spring? Spring must be closer. Maybe I haven't got it. Jody, could you make a note for me to add spring in here? Can't believe I didn't have spring. Okay, we'll add it in. Now, to my horror, think about, this is about living and existing. I realized that all the Christmas presents, of course, that I was working on are now in storage. And it's going to cost a fortune of difficulty to get them out again. So I'm thinking I'm just leaving those things in storage. And what I will do is I will either give people late Christmas presents when I get my stuff back, or I will just get completely different ones. So, that's the choice I have. Or I can be really angry because I can't get to the Christmas presents. I've got lots of choices, really. That's how I see it. But I'm pretty sure that anybody that knows me this year knows what I've been through and is not expecting anything from me anyway. And by the way, I had a conversation, those of you who know my friend Marnie, I had a conversation with her this week. And I said, Marnie, I realized when I moved your Christmas present with me. And then when I had the fire, it was in the room that got the most smoke damage. So you may not be getting that present at all, ever. So I thought I'd let you know what it was. Because you know me, that I've got that sort of sense of humor. And, it's just like, really, it just is what it is, right? So before I go, I just wanted to check, in terms of what we talked about this evening, what was it that was an aha moment for you? Was there any part of the broadcast where you went, okay, Brian, I needed that one. I needed to hear that. Yes, Kimmy, I think that everybody that knows me, the only people I would ever give Christmas presents to are people that know me pretty well. And I don't think any of them is expecting anything grand from me this year. And that's just as well, because they're not going to be getting anything grand. All right, no problem, Nyasha. Nice to see you back. So, it's just like, What was, what? The present that I gave Marnie that she may never see? I bought her one of those inserts that you put into different bags. You know, when you've got the sort of those bigger bags, it's a special insert. So all you have to do is to move the insert, not when you change bags, you just take the inside out and drop it in the next one. And she said that would have been so useful. I said, I know, that's why I got it for you. All right, so Jody's saying she liked the quote from Gandhi. I won't let anyone run through my clean mind with their dirty feet. Yeah. You know something, that is a pretty solid statement, isn't it? And how many of you have let other people mess your mind up all these years instead of having a boundary or being able to control your own thoughts? And Sandy's saying, my aha moment was realizing that I'm existing more than I'm living. Then I'm glad I did the broadcast, Sandy. And Jody said, I loved the entire presentation, to be honest. It was a great reminder. You know, and the reason we came up with that, Jody, was who was it that talked about living and not existing? Or something happened in a broadcast where I made that comment. And I said to Jody, remind me to do a broadcast on that. And, you know, yeah, and Yasha's saying, you know, she existed for so long in her life. All right. And I think it's wonderful that you can see that. And I certainly need to tell you that I was one of those people too for so much of my life. I existed. I thought the titles made me a good person or made me important in life or whatever. No. I now know who I am at my core is a lot better person than the person I was. Oh, apparently I said it, the thing about living rather than existing. I'm so wise at times, Jody, really. I thought it was a good line. And Jody said, and it made an impression on me big time. Yes. So think about that. And I ask myself that every day. You know, I literally will walk into my bathroom now and I will look at it and go, what do I need to move to make it look better? So I learn to do this better. Right? Because that's living to me. Or I will, before I go to bed, my kitchen will be tidy because I'm learning to do that now. And I will have dessert as my reward. All right, because I now will do things like once the kitchen is tidy, you can have dessert. You'll be amazed how quickly I can clean up a kitchen there. I play these games in my mind. What about you? Right? So and I go, oh, finish the kitchen, time for dessert. And what am I going to have for dessert? Sure. I got choices. And by the way, my big living moment this week was when I went shopping in I was talking about going to a new store at lunchtime, but when I went to the new store, I found a bag of salted caramel cookies. And how many of you know that somebody that's pre-diabetic, that is definitely not something I should be eating. So, but I thought if I took it home, I would control my intake of that. You know, I just have a couple each night. After I had finished the first 4, I went back for the next 4. And by the time I'd had 8, I made an executive decision, which is, how about you just finish the bag and get rid of them? You know, and expect the spike. Drink a gallon of water, but, you know, expect the spike, but, you know, and just get rid of them. And I did that. So good. I really felt like I was cheating the whole system, but it worked. And the amazing thing was, I think the next morning my blood sugar was up, but it wasn't nearly out of control. It was just a little bit up. And Kimmy's saying, I think I just exist from day to day now. Yes, Kimmy. And so that's why I would challenge you to see if you can listen to this maybe a second time and go, what little shifts can you make to make your life that you're living a little, not just existing? And Yasha's saying, yeah, I thought I had to please everybody in order to keep them happy and as friends. That was the biggest story. I told myself for my entire life. Now I know that wasn't correct. Yeah, but you know, Nyasha, you heard it when you were ready to know it. Yeah, I think at the time that you heard it was the time you were ready to be able to do something about it. I want to tell you, Kimmy's saying you have to live once in a while. That is something that Jody taught me about being pre-diabetic. And she said, it's not about always being in control. You are allowed to have bad days. Just don't have them too often. And, I am aware that I not only had, a whole bag of cookies, but I also went out for dinner and I had Chinese. It's been a very interesting week in terms of food. So what I keep doing is coming back and I cheat on things. For example, this is a special concoction I've made, and I've already finished this once, but I now make myself, this is a little bit of orange juice with orange metamucil, good fiber, and Perrier water, sparkly water. So it tastes like orange juice, but guess what? It's going to absorb some of the bad stuff. And I've had 2 already. So, and I will probably finish another 2 by tonight. So it's like, this is a health drink that doesn't look like it. And Jody is saying, indigestion. Jody's saying, my wish for you all is that you do a little more living rather than just existing this coming week. You are a priceless treasure in this world. And isn't that true? If you treat yourself like a priceless treasure, you will actually be living. Oh, interesting. Kimmy asked, I forgot that I had some chocolate in the freezer. And is it no good now? And Jody said, Kimmy, even if the chocolate has bloom, those white spots on it, it is still just fine. It just doesn't look as appealing, but it still is fine. Yeah, I think I know Nyasha was talking about being a people pleaser in her life, and I certainly was for part of my life. I sort of went from being a people pleaser, and then I was an enabler. I was a big enabler, and I don't do that anymore. Yeah, and Kimmy's saying I think we get that from our mothers. Well, I don't know where you got it from. I I think I always try to please people and not cause a problem. I was part of a blended family, and it was very important that we children of my mother's side did not cause a problem in the blended marriage. Right, and Jody's saying that she's guilty and a formal people pleaser as well. And Yasha's saying, Mama Sal, I think you ought to stray from your diet just for a week or so because what you've been going through. Well, that would be a great excuse, wasn't it? That'd be a great excuse to eat like an idiot. I don't want to eat like an idiot. I just want to be able to eat some stuff and just correct it. That's what Jody has taught me. That's the thing for which I am so very grateful. It's not about perfection. It's about if you eat the wrong things, do you know how to correct it? So the price I pay for not eating healthily is I need to consume a lot more water and I need to get exercise and I need to do, all the right things that will compensate. And I need to put more fruit and vegetables into my system than I would probably want. But all those things help balance me out. That's what Jody taught me. The chocolate was freezer burned. Okay, but it's more. Jody, am I correct that it's more the look of it that puts people off? It's not that it's not healthy. Right. And Jody's saying a treat here and there is very different from totally derailing for an entire week, or maybe giving up on myself. Right. I don't give up on myself. I just go, okay, that was really good. Now I pay the price. And I'm not angry because I have to pay the price. It's worth it to me. I want to tell you that bag of salted caramel cookies, awesome. I nearly said to die for, but I don't want that in my life, right? I've had enough of those sort of things going on. I definitely don't want to say to die for. No, they were really good. Linda's saying, I was raised to be a people pleaser, anticipating other person's needs before my own. Yep. Being the oldest child, I was trained to take care of my parents' emotional needs. Yes. And also, you were trained to look after the smaller children as well, I'm sure. It's a very difficult position being the eldest child, I think. And you know, it's interesting, Linda, because my sister has never forgiven me for being the baby of the family. Why? She saw I got treated the way she would have liked to have been. And she really was angry at me about that. And I said to her one day, I had no control over that. Why are you angry at me? You're angry at me because I was treated differently from you. But the thing is, you are blaming the wrong person. Yeah. The person you need to be angry at is not me. What was I meant to do? Tell them not to treat me nicely? It's like, really? I understand you're angry, but you're angry at the wrong person. And can you see that? And she was jealous of that for so much of her life. And I just said, I'm really sorry, but there really was nothing that I could do about it. I don't know what on earth she expected me to do about it. And Anisha is saying exactly, people pleasers don't want to cause trouble. They crave to be liked by everyone. And they also don't want to say no. No, it's very difficult, isn't it? All right. But once you learn to set the boundaries, and even better when you learn to set them politely, it is amazing. Like my chit chat with the guy on the elevator, all right? He wasn't wearing a mask, and therefore I chose not to travel with him. That was my boundary, and I'm entitled to have it. But I don't have to be nasty about it. Kimmy's saying, I was angry and I still am at my mother. Yes, and it's not helping, Kim. Really, it's not changing anything. You being angry at your mother is not changing your happiness one bit. In fact, it's contributing to you not being happy, if you think about it. What if you keep being angry with your mother? What are you winning? But I understand it because I did it as well. And Linda's saying, I'm working on healing. I am teaching my siblings not to look to me to solve their problems. Yay. We're doing better. Yes. And do you understand the difference between an enabler and a friend, Linda? Because if not, write to me at DearMamaSal.com. I have somewhere in my computer, I have this great graphic that shows you what a friend does and what an enabler does. And it's really interesting. It really is. It's like when I stuck that up on my mirror in my bathroom for the longest time until I got it. One is being a friend and the other is being an enabler. And boy, did I realize how much of an enabler I was when I saw that. I was always doing everything for everybody. And I actually put down a boundary now to make sure that I don't do too much. Even doing Dear Mama Sal. And I don't mind telling you, I will keep an eye on Jody, because if I see her enabling our viewers, because she's a natural born mother hen. So if I find that she's not only mother henning, but she's enabling, I will actually call her out on it. And Jody will tell you that it has happened a couple of times where I've gone, excuse me. And so, all of you, I'm out of here. I'm going to go and tidy up the kitchen and get dessert. So I hope you've learned that your life is either living, which means that it's exciting and you're learning things and you're doing things and that you're making yourself happy, or you are existing, being turned into a pretzel by everybody else's needs and wants of you. And the truth is, the choice is yours. It always has been, and it always will be. You can choose to live for the rest of your life or to exist. I hope that you've got that message. This is Dear Mama Sal saying, thank you so much, and thank you, dear God, for letting me survive another week and to be able to do the broadcasts. I'll see you on Sunday. Bye-bye for now. Maybe if I can find the right things. See you soon.